Are you currently feeling unmotivated and uninspired? Today on the podcast, we are getting back to basics and we're talking about motivational tips to help get you back in the game. We'll see you on the inside. What's going on, everybody? How's it going? My name is Mike. You have reached the Songwriters Planner Podcast. Thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it. If this is your first time here, thank you to you as well. I really appreciate the first time visit. Hopefully you find today's podcast inspiring, helpful, and hopefully, you can maybe spread the word if you do find it to be those things to you. I really appreciate that. I do want to say that before we get into our topic that the Songwriters Podcast is on iTunes as well as Spotify and YouTube, which you are seeing right here if you are watching the video. I try to release multiple formats of my podcast, one being video on my YouTube channel, and then, of course, releasing through audio only through Spotify, iTunes, and my own website, songwritersplanner.com. Thank you again, guys, for joining me. I really appreciate it. I do probably say that more than I should, but it's only because I really enjoy doing these podcasts and sharing information with you and getting feedback from you guys on how if it's helpful to you and what topics you want to hear about and what topics you'd like to discuss. Today on the podcast, I want to jump right into it. And I thought it was almost... let me just put it this way. I thought that recently I needed to go back to basics on why I have the podcast in the first place, why I felt like starting a podcast along with launching the Songwriters Planner. And if you don't know what the planner is, it's a 6-month planner for singer-songwriters that I came up with. And it's meant to help musicians be more productive, more motivated, and more inspired. So that wraps into today's podcast. And if you are feeling uninspired lately or unmotivated to do things that you want to accomplish with your music, I get it. I understand. We've all been there at some point. We've all been to a spot where we just feel like giving up, or there's just so much to do. It's overwhelming. You want to hire someone else to do it for you if you had the money. Along with songwriting, rehearsing, and creating music and playing music, there is a ton of other things that we are now responsible for, which is a good thing. I will say that now. It is a good thing. Everything from social media promotion, marketing, you name it, videos, creating and writing music, and writing and recording music, marketing, getting people on our newsletter list. I mean, there's just a lot of things that we need to do that you are capable of doing yourself. However, it can be overwhelming and it can kind of suck the life out of you after a while, especially if you get caught up in doing a lot of the things that you may not enjoy. I mean, let's face it, we don't all love making flyers. We don't all love editing videos. We don't all love, booking shows. I mean, it's a lot of work. So today I wanted to talk about a few things that you can try to help get you back in the game, to help make you feel motivated to do these things. Not just write and play music, but get your career back on track. Get yourself juiced up to do all the things that it takes to get you up and running as a singer-songwriter, as a musician. It doesn't matter if you play guitar, if you play bass, if you are a solo act, if you're a band. We all need a creative push, and we all need a motivational push every now and then. And these are some things that I'm going to talk about today that I do occasionally to help get me back in feeling like I want to dive back into this stuff, and I want to get this podcast going, or I want to get these rehearsals going. I want to work on recording this new album. It's just, we all have different motivations, and these are the ones that I'm going to share with you today are the ones that I use, and maybe you'll find them useful, or maybe they'll inspire you to go off and try to do your own thing or find your own inspirations. But basically today we are all about getting motivated. What do you need to do to push yourself and to give yourself a little nudge, okay? At the time of this podcast is coming out, we have hit the month of March in 2019, which is the first part of the month, but we've had 2 months to start working on the things we want to do. How are you feeling about where you're at? How are you feeling about what you've accomplished so far? Do you want to do more? Are you on the right track? And if you don't feel like you're doing as much as you had hoped so far, and this goes true for any time limit, it doesn't matter whether it's the beginning of the year, it's all about what goals you set for yourself. how do you feel about where you're at? Me personally, I think I could be doing more. I put down some goals for myself, and I have not hit all of those goals yet, which is okay, but I think I could still be a little more productive as the year goes by. And in that sense, we're going to talk about productivity and what kind of motivational tips I can share with you, as well as the ones that I use myself. Okay, so let's jump into it. We're going to do that right now. And as far as music goes, when I'm feeling really uninspired, okay, when I feel like, whether I'm writing music or whether I feel like I even want to get together and rehearse or get together and practice with my projects, one of the first things I'll do is kind of look back on the things, the music, and this is the first tip. What I'll do is I'll kind of maybe look back and revisit a lot of the music that inspired me in the first place. And for me, music is biographical. In other words, when I hear a song, and you're probably the same way, it brings back memories of a time when I was listening to that music, or when I heard that music. And I will go back and listen to a lot of the stuff that really got me motivated in the past. A lot of the music that I've forgot about, maybe just haven't listened to in a while. It's great to kind of go back and listen to inspiring music that really got me motivated to begin with. Because what that does is it releases these creative juices in your mind that you may not have felt in such a long time. And you're going to go, wow, I remember this song, or I remember this album, or I remember how this went. And it can really kickstart something inside of you that you haven't felt in a long time. And that's really, really, really helpful when you feel like you're on low, like when your gas tank is on low. It really is helpful because you kind of revisit where you were. And what that does is it allows you to see how far you've come since that point. And there's nothing better than seeing the progress you've made as an artist and seeing what you've accomplished, because it's easy to forget that stuff. It's easy to forget where we've come from. So going back and listening to music and listening to art that inspired you, I don't know, it could be a year, it could be 2 years, depending on how long you've been playing music, is really, really helpful, and it can help get the juices flowing again like it did before. I also like to go back and sometimes listen to old albums that I've actually played on and I've actually contributed to, because then you get to see, wow, I do remember playing that. I remember where I was. I remember how it inspired me. And this is something that can maybe get you going and get you in the right direction and make you want to create that next work, or make you want to push you into doing the things necessary to get your music out there. It's always a push to get that stuff going. That can possibly help you do that, especially if you've been playing music for a long time and you have a deep catalog to listen to, as well as you've been listening to music for a long time, which I know you have, and you can always pull from inspiration from back then. So that is one tip that I like to do to help keep me motivated, is to go back and listen to things in the past that have inspired me. Another thing that I like to do, another tip here, is to touch base and hang out and spend time with people that motivate you, whether they'd be fellow musicians, whether they'd be family, whether they would be friends, coworkers, bandmates, whatever it is, people that motivate you. Being around people that are busy doing things is very inspiring. I have some friends of mine that run a clothing company in the music scene here. And every time I see them, they are always working really, really hard. They've got a ton of merch at these shows. They sell their merch at shows here locally in Phoenix. And every time I see them, they motivate me to kind of get my game going, to get the things that I want to do going, because I see them and I see how hard they work, and that really, really pushes me, because for some reason I could be feeling really down. I could be feeling really low about what I'm doing. But every time I see that, I'm like, man, that is very inspiring. I need to get myself going and get my game going so that I do feel fulfilled and I do feel productive. So that's a great example of, doesn't even have to be a band or someone else's music. It can be anything. Inspiration can come from anywhere, from any other person that will help motivate you. It could be someone that that is, running a food truck or something, and you see that and you're like, man, they're busting their ass. That's inspiring. Or it could be someone who is, fitness, someone who's really into fitness, and you see how hard they work. That's inspiring to me. But just to kind of touch base and be around people that are doing these things, it could help motivate you to start getting you in the game and get you back into the motivational mindset of, oh man, I got to get my stuff going because I really, really am inspired by these people and I want to be like them. That is another tip that could help you out if you are feeling low, if you do feel like the gas tank is winding down, man. I get that. I get those feelings. And it's really hard to pull yourself out of that sometimes. It's hard because you struggle and you're like, oh man. So that's another tip you can try. And hopefully that works for you. Hopefully you know people out there who are highly motivated and can inspire you to do that kind of stuff. Another tip that will possibly help get you more in the game of being motivated is to go ahead and write your tasks list down, write your goals down for what you'd like to accomplish. If you know me, if you've listened to my podcast and if you've checked out the Songwriter's Planner, you know that I'm a big fan of writing things down and holding yourself accountable for achieving the goals that you want to achieve. Okay. Now that can sound intimidating, but it's really not. And that is because goals don't have to be these grandiose things that are unattainable or something that you'll think you'll never get to. Okay. Goals can be really small. They can be really tiny and they can be, broken down into chunks. How about finish that song idea that you had? That could be a goal for the week. How about come up with a new song idea or at least the start of one for that week? These goals can be really, really small. And if you write them down and you start basically identifying your goals for a week's time, and then the task list that you have to achieve those goals, that can be kind of motivating because you're holding yourself accountable. It's almost like signing a contract to yourself saying, yes, I am going to do these things to achieve this goal by the end of the week. And if you find that you're not able to do that, then break it down even further. Okay, break those goals down even further. What's important is the progress you're making towards achieving that goal. That's the important thing. Achieving the goal is important, but it's all about the progress that you make and the way you feel every time you achieve this goal. So if you feel like you're not able to achieve it, break it down even smaller. Make it smaller, okay? Instead of coming up with the song idea, I'm going to come up with a riff. Give me a part of a riff so that I can write a song. Or, I am going to read online or watch a YouTube video on how to set up my own website. I'm just going to watch the video so I can absorb how I can do that. Or I'm going to read an article online about the basics of learning video so I can shoot a video of myself and put my video up on YouTube. Okay? Take small steps to learn these things. And what you'll do is over time, as you achieve these small goals, you'll start making progress. You'll start feeling better about yourself because you are being productive, and those will lead to further progress and will make you more fulfilled. So writing these goals down, start with writing small goals down and getting a task list going to get you motivated into the mindset that, yes, I am making progress. I'm getting more motivated to do the things I want to do. This is slowly leading me to where I want to be. Whether it be having an album done, having my album put up on Spotify and iTunes, having a video done, having my album downloaded. It starts someplace and it starts small. And that small spot is writing a goal and achieving it. And that will hopefully help motivate you if you feel like you're not going anywhere, or you feel very uninspired and you want to quit. Try writing one goal down and start identifying the tasks you need to do to get there, okay? And that's another tip that I wanted to share with you in case you are feeling like you need help and you want to start somewhere. And another thing that I'm going to suggest is check out media online. I mentioned YouTube. Check out things that inspire you. The internet is a vast land of amazing content and amazing, inspiring media. I use YouTube a lot, probably more than I should, to help inspire me. I watched a video last week of an old Van Halen concert, and I was immediately, fired up to go, wow, I love that band, and I love what they did. And it was, some concert from back in the 70s or early 80s, and it just fired me up. It got me going. Like my juices started going. It may sound weird for me to say go check out YouTube, but I'm telling you, as a musician, YouTube is the best resource to A, learn how to do things, of course, B, to check out other bands, other concerts, other music, and get inspired by it. There is no other best way to do that than to go and catalog through YouTube and find maybe some of your favorite bands, maybe find a tutorial on how to use certain effects pedal or something and get some new sounds out of it so you get inspired that way. There are just so many ways that YouTube is there to help you. And I really, really suggest, if you feel unmotivated and you feel like you're not going anywhere, hit up areas of YouTube that you haven't found yet. There's so much inspiration there. It's easy to get overwhelmed with all these amazing people doing amazing things, because that's what social media and that's what YouTube will shove down your throat sometimes is, look at all these cool people doing these cool things. Well, yeah, that's great, but that's not helping me, and the beauty of it is that you don't have to do that. You can use these tools, you can use YouTube to find things that really inspire you. It just takes a little bit of searching, and then it's all inspiration from that point out. I really do that. I really like this tip because it's a tip that we've only recently had in the past, 10 years or so. And I didn't grow up with YouTube. I know a lot of the younger generation has. And I just wanted to say how amazing it is to have this resource as a place to help motivate you as an artist. It is just amazing. And I will always appreciate this kind of media because I know how powerful it can be. And I'm sure you probably feel the same way. So that is another tip that I would really like to stress. If you are feeling like you're just not going anywhere and you just need more inspiration, whatever it is, check it out. Visit YouTube, do some searching, do some things online that you want to know about or you want to find out about, or that or like I said, it could just be a concert, something that from an artist that you love, something like that, something simple, and it'll help kick you in the butt and get you where you need to go. Okay, so that's this week's podcast, people. Thank you for joining me. I just wanted to talk about a few motivational tips that I hope you will find helpful to yourself. Like I mentioned in the blog down below, everybody has their own ways of being inspired. You can go to a concert in your local town, find people to watch, play music for, or just maybe sit in on other shows. There are a million different ways for you to get motivated. I just talked about a few here that I use. And if you have some that you'd like to share with me, please share that with me. Send me an email, shoot me a comment on Facebook, and we'll get right to it. All right, guys. Thanks again for joining me on the Songwriters podcast. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you on the next episode. Peace and love.